Unveiling the Vatican's Wealth. A closer look at the Catholic Church's unimaginable wealth. Hidden behind the majestic walls of Vatican City lies a treasure trove that has fascinated historians, treasure hunters, and the faithful for centuries. But what exactly makes the Vatican one of the wealthiest institutions on earth? Welcome to our deep dive into the unimaginable wealth of the Vatican. Today, we're unveiling the secrets of the Catholic Church's financial empire. From priceless artworks to vast land holdings, and from secretive bank accounts to donations from the faithful. Let's explore the sources of the Vatican's incredible wealth. Did you know that religion can be an incredibly profitable business if done right? There's no better example of this than the Vatican, the world's smallest sovereign nation at just 0.27 square kilometers. It is home to the wealthiest religion on the planet, the Catholic Church. For decades, the Catholic Church has been haunted by scandal after scandal. With more than 1.3 billion members worldwide, it is the second biggest religion in the world. This entire empire of vast, unimaginable wealth is based on your donation. The Vatican's journey to wealth began over 1,500 years ago. Founded in the 4th century AD, Vatican City grew in power and influence, amassing wealth through donations, tithes, and bequests. By the Renaissance, the Church was not just a spiritual authority but a political and economic powerhouse. Thanks to some simple math, we can get a rough estimate of how much wealth the Catholic Church really has. So, the Catholic Church is worth around 30 billion in Australia. There's around 5.5 million Catholics in Australia. That means the Catholic Church is able to extract an average of around $5,454 per user. There are 372 million Catholics in Europe, the US, Canada, and Australia combined. So, $5,454 per Catholic times 372 million Catholics means that the Catholic Church has a little over $2 trillion in wealth. And that's just from the main Western countries. That means the Catholic Church is in the same league as companies you know and love like Apple, Microsoft, the Saudi Arabian oil company, Amazon, and Alphabet. Let's say on that $2 trillion, they're able to get a conservative return of 3%. For context, the stock market typically returns 10%. $2 trillion at just 3% gives them $60 billion every single year, tax-free theoretically, of course. But what do they tell the public? That in 2018, apparently they only profited a measly $20 million, nowhere near even $1 billion. And at the center of all of this is the Vatican Bank, God's bankers. Today, it's probably better to think of the Vatican as a combination of the Federal Reserve, an offshore bank, and a hedge fund compared to just being the headquarters of Catholicism. The Vatican is the ultimate corporation that stood the test of time like no other. Did you know that the Vatican, with its billions of dollars today, wasn't always so financially secure? At various points in history, the Church was on the brink of bankruptcy. Imagine owing so much debt that you could only afford to pay off the interest, keeping you trapped in a never-ending cycle. But what if there was a way to break free from this cycle and take control of your finances? That's where Upstart comes in. In the 6th century, the Vatican leadership needed to find new ways to make money fast. They were already selling most of the Papal State's natural resources, but there were only so many grapes and vegetables to export. The Pope and his cardinals came up with a plan to sell something incredibly valuable that would never run out. Since the Pope was considered God's representative on earth and had thousands of members in his church, they decided to sell indulgences. These indulgences were little tickets that promised reduced punishment for sins. People were willing to pay for them to avoid the fear of God's wrath and spend less time in purgatory. The sale of indulgences became a lucrative source of income for the Church, although it led to abuse by some church officials. This practice continued for more than 1,000 years until the 1789 French Revolution, when European states began demanding money from the Vatican. The taxing of the Vatican's money by various European leaders led to a decline in the Church's wealth. The people rebelled in 1848 due to climbing taxes. They stormed the Vatican City and murdered the papal prime minister. The people of the Papal States were tired of being treated as a cash reserve, and the Vatican went into massive debts. It was 2 years behind on bills, taxes were almost non-existent, and even the sale of indulgences had plummeted. The Pope in charge tried appealing to the masses, allowing more freedom of speech, and releasing more than 1,000 political prisoners, but it was too little, too late. Desperate to keep the Vatican and the Church going, the Pope made a difficult decision to seek help from the Rothschilds, a Jewish family business. Despite having to swallow a lot of pride, the Pope sought their help to cover the Vatican's budget for an entire year with 50 million francs, around $10 million. However, in 1870, the Italians invaded Rome and brought an end to the Vatican's control of the Papal States. Even making deals with non-believers couldn't save the Vatican from financial ruin. The Vatican's control was reduced from 15,000 square miles to 0.17, and the thousands of subjects the Vatican could tax had fallen to around 700 people who lived at the courts. This led to the first ever Catholic investments into secular businesses. The Pope started investing money into Roman real estate, and for a while, his investments were successful. However, in 1887, the property market crashed, and the Vatican was back to looking for a new way to make money. The Church started asking for donations, or Peter's pence, as they called it. They encouraged regular Catholic Church members to donate money to the Church in exchange for salvation. The Church then started investing more than ever into secular businesses. World War I broke out, and a new pope took control of the Vatican, causing donations to plummet and the Vatican's income to decline. The Vatican rented one of its properties in Rome to an arms manufacturer that sold to Germany, indirectly making money selling weapons of war to the other side of the war. By 1933, the Vatican was losing around 100 million lira a year. Desperate not to go under, the Pope finally hired a real financial advisor who helped keep the Vatican out of financial trouble by making diverse investments. However, when World War II hit, the Pope went all in and took the German side, becoming friendly with the fascist leader of Italy, Mussolini. In exchange for their support, the Third Reich would deduct 8 to 10% of Catholic Germans' wages to be sent directly to the Vatican. This boosted the Vatican economy significantly. After rumors that Hitler could pay 3 million gold Reichmarks, or $12.6 million at the time, and choose the next pope, the new pope, although not chosen by Hitler, seemed happy to maintain a good relationship with Germany. He even held a grand reception for Hitler's 50th birthday. Money started flowing into the Vatican City once again, but a new problem arose. All of the Vatican's transactions and money were kept in Western banks in Europe, making it possible for most of the funds to be traced or even frozen. It wouldn't be long before the Allies found out just how much of the Church's money was coming from Germany, which would lead to instant blacklisting. To address this issue, the Pope's financial advisor came up with a new plan: to build a bank in the Vatican. After all, the Vatican is its own country, so why shouldn't it have a national bank? Thus, the Institute for Works of Religion, IWAR, was born. It only had one branch inside the Vatican City and was not on anyone's blacklist, making it free from wartime regulations. The new Vatican Bank could operate anywhere in the world without disclosing profits, annual reports, balance sheets, or the source of its money. Now, the Vatican could take money from any source. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the Vatican's unimaginable wealth. If you found this video enlightening, please like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating insights. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.